Hello everyone, and welcome to another Carbon 60 video by me, Kay Elmer. And in this video I would like to share with you an experiment that I ran on myself involving the Meta-Oxy test. And just to let you know, I really wasn't planning on actually making this video, but after thinking about it for quite some time, I realized that even if you have an experiment that fails, that's still information worth sharing, because in science there's no good or bad, and they're just results. So welcome to my first fail video. So here we go. Disclaimers first. This material is for research purposes only. C60 oil is not approved for consumption by the FDA. You understand that making and consuming C60 oil is experimental, and you do so at your own risk. I do not endorse any products. I do not get paid in any way for making videos. This material is purely my own research that I willingly share with others. All right, let's jump in. What is the Meta-Oxy test? So what it is, it's a test that measures lipid peroxidation in the body. This test, you can buy a home test. It's produced by a place called New Vision Health Center, and it's run by a guy named Dr. Zawalski. And all the links are in the video description as always, so you can go ahead and take a look at his video, and he explains it in depth. I'm going to give you the 2-second version, which is basically lipid peroxidation. What does that mean? Well, radical oxygen comes into your body, i.e. toxins, and they steal electrons from your cells, and it damages your cells, and basically as those cells somewhat deteriorate, okay, they release a chemical called malondialdehyde. That's my best pronunciation. And when that malondialdehyde is released into your body, okay, it does get excreted out your urine, and there's an actual test this guy's put together, that is this little test here, where it allows you to test for this chemical, malondialdehyde, and see if actually measure the level of oxidation that your body's being exposed to. All right, so in a nutshell, it measures the amount of inflammation of your body. And as you know, I'm really into C60. And what is C60? Well, it reduces inflammation because it's an electron donor, and it runs around and mops up all the toxins and helps your body repair itself. And so I thought when I saw this that this was the perfect test to use in conjunction with taking C60 to measure the effectiveness of C60. That was the objective and the purpose of my experiment. It's a 6-week experiment that I just finished a couple of days ago, and I just wrapped it all up, and here you go. So what happened was I found out about this test. I watched this video, went to the website, and I ordered 3 of the tests. And so the costs are $19.99 per test, $9.95 for shipping. So I put out about $70 to buy 3 of these things. You get this little this was my first concern, was you get the packet in a little sandwich baggie, and it consists of this little cup for you to capture your urine, and a little vial, and you get this little pipette, and you only put 1 milliliter of urine into the vial and shake it up for 60 seconds, and then from that moment on you've got approximately 3 minutes to then compare it to the color chart. And based on the coloration of the urine mixed in with a chemical inside this vial, it'll tell you whether or not, by coloration, the darker means you are heavily oxidized, and the lighter the color down to this light pink color, then it implies that you are doing quite well, living an antioxidant diet, and that your body is not as inflamed. So that's the theory, okay? And so what I did was I set up a test where it was the month of January. So for 2 weeks prior to the beginning of January, I stopped taking all my supplements, and I take a lot. And so I'd stopped taking everything, including C60, and I just had my normal diet. And so I wanted to make sure that there was no antioxidants in my body as best as possible. And the reason I picked 2 weeks was because, as we all know, based on who you talk to, but C60, flushes out of your body within 97 hours all the way to 10 days, depending on, what study you read. So, hey, if it's 10 days at the top end of the scale, I went 2 weeks. So I figured, hey, I'm going to start clean. 2 weeks, nothing. And then I started taking C60. So what happened was, was I planned to just do this for a month and then test. And then what happened, though, this is always real life here. I started and I wanted to measure midway, right? And so what I did was I got a bottle of Greska's Carbon 60, and I started taking the C60 supplement every single day. And then when I got to the middle of the month, I retested the inflammation. And then at that point, I had some issues, because in the second week of this, I started experiencing kidney pain. Okay, so I decided to not finish the rest of the month using Greska's, and I decided to finish the month using Revive. So Revive is a product that the maker of that's Ian Mitchell, and he's got a product line called Health C360 on the Carbon Plus website. And so I started taking Revive, and I finished the month of my C60 trial with a different product. So I tried 2 different C60 products. So at the end of the day, I'm taking C60 every day. Okay, I just had to switch products, and I'll go on a sidebar discussion about this kidney thing later. But that was the whole idea, is that for 1 month, I clean up for 2 weeks, don't take anything, and then for 1 month, I'm taking C60, and I'm measuring the midpoint, measuring the end, right? Sounds like a logical approach. So then this is the dosage that I took. I took Greska's Carbon 60 product. Is the recommended serving size, he goes by serving size, is 0.67 milliliters, or 2/3 of a dropper, 2/3 of a milliliter, okay? And so 1 dropper is 2/3 of a milliliter. And I decided, I'm a big guy, so I decided, well, I'll just take 2 droppers, just because it just seems like such a little amount, as 1 whole dropper. So I took 2 whole droppers every single day for 2 weeks. And then I switched over to this guy right here, which is the Revive product. And the recommended dosage on this guy, and this guy actually has a dosage chart, so it's kind of cool if you've never really took a look at it, like an actual C60 dosage chart. There's one for women, there's one for men. It goes by your weight. It's not one size fits all, which is sort of like every other product out there. But this product is designed towards your weight. So for my weight, the recommended was 15 milliliters, or what it comes down to is 1 tablespoon. So I took 1 tablespoon a day of the Revive product. So the results were this. On day 1, this is before I started, I took a before snapshot of the inflammation using the Meta-Oxy test. On day 15, I did it again, and it was like absolutely no change. And on day 31, I did it again, and it eyeballing it, it doesn't look, I'm not even going to state that I think it looks lighter. It looks exactly the same. So this was the thing, and it was a little frustrating, because I put out $70 to see, and I thought I would make this really cool video, showing how you can test. But so the results were inconclusive. The results were nothing happened, nothing changed. It was the same all 3 times. So quite frustrating. And so I contacted, actually halfway through when I got to this point, and I started taking the Revive to get to that point. I actually sent out an email. It took about a week to get back to me. And so my question I sent them, I sent an email to the New Vision guys, and I'm like, hey, I used the Meta-Oxy test for 2 weeks while taking a strong antioxidant. I didn't say I was taking C60, but taking, C60 is a super antioxidant, right? And the color of the test was red, and is 2 weeks enough time before and after? And why red? The chart shows shades of purple. And so their response to me was, and this is really important, and I want to point out that this response, this information, is not on the website. It's not in the materials that comes with the test. So it was kind of a little bit of a learning experience here, was that they said, you want to give it a solid month, which is fine. I gave it a month, right? Which is an extra test in between, of effort. That includes dietary changes with an anti-inflammatory diet along with supplements before retesting to any changes were made. And I was like, oh, really? That's not, that wasn't in the product literature. Gee, I would have liked to have known that ahead of time, because that's not what I did. And And then secondly, and then they go on about the color. And secondly, the example of colors on the instruction card is more of a reddish purple. Also, the instruction card is on paper, blah, blah, blah. So the whole idea is that, the color is weird because it's, just the coloration, and you could be taking B vitamins that change the color of your urine, which affects the color of the end test. And so that if you read the product literature, by the way, the handout that comes with the test, there, I have a link to that in the video description as well. So bottom line, the conclusion and results of my 6-week trial, $70. I didn't take my vitamins for 6 weeks, and I'm dragging butt, from not taking vitamins. But I'm doing really well, actually, because on the other side of the fence, because I'm taking C60, it's actually keeping me going. But, hey, this is it. Conclusion. Dope. Feeling pretty stupid. I wish I would have known that information, but there was no way for me to know that unless I would have called them and talked to them and told them what I was doing. But what the conclusion of this experiment is that the Meta-Oxy test is not sufficient. The test will not measure the effect of C60 because you have to actually, you have to change your whole diet. You got to take supplements, which C60 is, for anything to register on this test. So I suppose the best way to say it is that the test is too light to pick up that level of micro, microbiology or the level of changes that C60 is doing, because quite frankly, I wasn't taking supplements, and I take supplements all the time, but I was still living my normal lifestyle. Get up at 5, go to work. I work 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours a day, and then I get home and I got to walk my dogs. And when I don't take my supplements and I don't have C60, honestly, I'm burned out when I get home, and it's really hard to walk my dogs. But taking the C60, even without my supplements, I'm still power walking a mile every day with my dogs after work, and so I could keep that energy going. I don't drink coffee or anything, so luckily I was taking the C60. But it just didn't work at all, and it won't work. So hopefully this saves you money if you were thinking about doing it yourself. Now, just to go back to the kidney thing. One thing and I've been really thinking about this kidney thing because it affects me, and I haven't heard about it affecting anyone else. So I really thought about it, and what really I believe is happening with me in particular is that I first had my first kidney stone was on my right side, my left side, and then 1 year later I had a kidney stone on my right, and then a year later I had a kidney stone on my left. And then last year would have been the 4th year, and you would expect that, I'm ping-ponging back and forth and passing stones, but I never passed a stone on the right side. I just started drinking this Chanca Piedra tea, which is called bone crusher tea, and it kind of kept it. What I think happened was that I've got really microscopic stones in there. That aren't enough to kind of push me over the edge, but at the same time they're there because every time I ingest a C60, because Greska's C60 is not just lipofullerenes, and lipofullerenes are the C60 that dissolves and forms into a liposome, and so. And, from stirring it up and stuff and then filtering. So Greska's is not just lipofullerene. He only mixes it for a few minutes, and most of it is colloidal suspension, meaning that the C60 particulates are floating in the oil and they're not filtered out. They're just floating there. And so I think what happens to me, and this happened to me last year where I wasn't filtering my own homemade C60 oil, was that even though it's microscopic, it's enough to trigger or get clogged up in my kidneys, and I started experiencing kidney stone pain. So I was into it about a week, and I started feeling the pain again, and I was like, oh no, and by the 2nd week, I was hurting, and so that's why I stopped. And so for you guys who have kidney stones, beware of drinking or ingesting any C60 product that is not filtered. That's the bottom line. So now, but once I switched to this is filtered. I was fine. It's been 2 weeks. I still have a little bit of pain. I'm drinking my tea every day, but mostly the pain's gone away now. So that's my kidney story. Anyway, Hey, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving me your time and listening to my first failed experiment. And, well, we live, we learn. But thanks a lot. I do appreciate your time so much and your kind comments. So thanks again. And if you have any questions about my stupid experiments, all the stuff that I do, how to make C60, we have this awesome C60 chat group. I mean, we got some real smart folks in there. And, if you got any questions or just want to hang out with people that, they're all 660 oriented, just come on down, link in the video description, and join us on Telegram, and we'll love to have you. All right. So have a great day, and aloha.